Hello there. So leather fragrances are one of my favorite notes, and we are still in winter, so there are a few fragrances that we can still try, and we're transiting into summer, so there are a few fragrances that can be worn in even in daytime. So what I'm trying to do, or what I've tried to do, is to create a list of 15 fragrances, leather fragrances primarily, or leather dominant fragrances that can be worn especially in the evenings during the winter season. Plus, as you move along into the summer season, you can also wear it there. So that is the idea behind creating this list. One is that element, so day wear fragrances and evening wear fragrances mostly. And the second part is that the first part of the video you will see about 7-8 fragrances which are part of the Middle Eastern houses. Then the second part of the video, which you will see basically fragrances that you can get from Indian alt houses, right? So the idea is that you get a list of 15 fragrances that are basically suiting in or fitting in both the ballparks of Middle Eastern and Indian houses. So that's the idea, and I hope you kind of like this video. So if you kind of like the type of content that I bring, please hit the like button, subscribe and share. That will give a lot of motivation and help us grow, right? So on that note, you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get started. Alright, let's start. So the first fragrance, and this is by no means an order of 15 to 1 or anything as such. This is just random 15 fragrances that I thought are really, really good. 15 is Afro leather from the house of Maison Alhambra. Now this is an alt of the popular African leather from the house of Memo. Now this particular fragrance is more of a spicy coriander, cumin, that kind of a fragrance with a lot of a leather note, but it's mostly a warm, spicy, woody, that kind of an element of a fragrance. And this is really, really nice. It's a loud fragrance. It does a good projection, and the leather note on this is a slightly animalic, borderline animalic, a little bit of ambriness that you will get, but mostly a very nicely done a spicy kind of a fragrance with a lot of warm spices, especially something like coriander, cumin, all of that element. So brings a little bit of a different masculine feeling to it. Projection is good, performance is really, really nice. You will get a good 6-hour mark of performance at least, and projection is at least good 2 to 3 feet. This is one of those loud fragrances that you can wear. And in my opinion, this is a very masculine kind of a fragrance that you want to try, right? So this you can definitely consider for evening wears especially, and this is something that you would want to wear when you're going out in the sense of like a boys club, or you're going for a ride or something like that. That is the time you should definitely consider wearing this. So it's a evening wear and definitely a party kind of a fragrance also. You can consider that. So this is Afro leather from the house of Maison Alhambra, alt of Maison Alhambra. Okay. Next, again from the house of Maison Alhambra. So this I featured recently as well. This is called Russian leather. Now this is a fragrance that is has got a little bit of a sweet tone to it. So this particular fragrance, when you kind of get a whiff of it, you will basically get a nice leather note with a lot of green herbaceous notes like pine tree, cedar, sage, all of those kind of elements, basil, that kind of thing. It's a very nice green vibe kind of a fragrance. So this particular fragrance is especially good if you are looking for a day wear kind of a fragrance, especially for office use, that kind of thing, and you want a leather fragrance to try, you can definitely consider getting this. And this is a lot softer than this in terms of its projection, so it's not as loud as this. Plus, even in terms of performance, I feel this is about a 4-hour mark that you will get. This is good, especially if you're looking at a nice bright day office, if you're going out in the sun, or if you're just casually going out and you want a little bit of a different kind of a fragrance, especially for leather fragrance that's done really differently, I would say, then you can definitely consider a Russian leather, which is also again from the house of Maison Alhambra, alt of Memo Paris Russian leather. So it's a pretty good, both the bottles are really, really good as well, and a good fragrance to try in my opinion for day wear. So that is Rusi leather from the house of Maison Alhambra. Next is Velvet Oud from the house of Latafa. Now this, most of you know that this is an alt of ombre leather from, Tom Ford. Now this is a fragrance that is more masculine. It's got a nice leather touch. It's very earthy, it's very woody. At the same time, the leather is very toned down on this one. And this is a nice performer as well. So it's very, very good, especially in the winters, and for casual wear, it's a kind of a good fragrance. And you get a very nice earthy vibe to it, okay, something like a light vetiver, mossy kind of a vibe as well. So it's a very nice fragrance that way, and performs really well. Projection is good, performance is good, and people kind of like this fragrance a lot. And it's one of the good alts out there, especially if you like ombre leather from Tom Ford, because there are two fragrances that are very popular from the house of Tom Ford, especially in terms of leather, and this is definitely one of them. So again, like I said, this is mostly a evening wear. You could wear this to office, but I would say that be a little safe, because leather is not a kind of a note that is kind of liked by everybody. So but this is still a safe fragrance, but I would say go lighter on the sprays on this one. Don't want to go beast mode, a lot of sprays and annoy your colleagues. But if you're going out casually, you're going to gym, you're going to parties, you're going for a ride or something like that, then on a colder day it would work really, really well. So you can definitely try out ombre leather from the house of Tom Ford. This is Velvet Mood from Latafa. This is number 3. Number 4 is a recent find that I have added to this list. It's an excellent leather fragrance. This is again from the house of Maison Alhambra. Now this is called Zafiro Regal. This is basically the alt of Regent leather of Thameen, and this is a very, very nice fragrance. This has got pure leathery notes to it. It's got a little bit of vanilla, it's got a little bit of citrus elements, all of that, and it kind of opens really well. The presentation is good, the bottle is good, performance is good on this particular fragrance, and this is again a evening wear type of a fragrance. You could casually wear it to indoors as well, but I would say a very light note, okay, because this is also pretty good in terms of its performance and lasting and projection as well. But what you get on this particular fragrance is a little more sweeter element, a slight sweeter element that you would get because of a little bit of citrus notes that you have and a little bit of vanilla that you have on this going. So it's a nice fragrance on the whole, and it's a very good add to the list of leather fragrances. I kind of tried this fragrance with a few Frag Heads recently, and most of them kind of like this bottle and the quality of juice, because for the value that it brings at about 1500 rupees or so, this is extremely bang for buck. In fact, all of these fragrances right now, whatever we are talking about, I think mostly are fragrances that will fall within the 1500 rupees mark. So this is another one to try. This is a Zafiro Regal from the house of Maison Alhambra. This is part of the Zafiro collection. This is an alt of Thameen's Regent leather. Excellent fragrance in my opinion. When we're discussing leather fragrances, you can't go without leather from the house of Muhammad Al-Maghrabi. Now, this is a fragrance that I think talks about beast mode leather fragrance type of a fragrance, right? So this is particularly, if you look at how this kind of smells, this is mostly a leather, a little bit of a suede leather kind of thing as well. So let me just do one quick spray. Let's try that. Wow. Yeah, it's a nice leathery fragrance. A nice strong beast mode, and I can mostly get leather and a type of suede element to it, and that's the predominant note on this one. But if you're looking for something which is beast mode, you want a loud leather fragrance with a very simple note profile, which is basically leather, a little bit of suede elements and all of that, then definitely you can consider a leather from the house of Ahmad Al-Maghrabi. Now this, I'm not too sure on the price point about it, but I'm guessing this should be about 2300, 2400, because for the type of volume or juice that you get, you don't need a lot of sprays. You just need about 3-4 sprays, and this will give you long performance, like 8-9 hours of performance easy, and projects to more than 3 feet easy. So from a value point of view, in terms of what you get for the amount of money that you pay, in terms of the juice quality and the performance, this is top-notch fragrance, and this is one of the nicer leather fragrances that you can get in recent times. So you can definitely consider getting this. You can get a sample of it as well. I think about 120 rupees is what I would say this for this, but it's a very nice juice that dominates leather and a lot of suede element in terms of leather. So there is the typical leather that you get, which is which has got a little bit of that animalic tone, whereas the suede leather has got a little more softer, lighter element to it, and this fragrance has got a mix of both. So that's why I kind of recommend this. So think about this video also as a 101 video for leather fragrances. As for people who want to try leather fragrances, you can definitely try. So that is number 6, or rather number 5. So 2, 3, 4. This is number 5. This is leather from the house of Ahmad Al-Maghrabi. Next, let's look at date night kind of a fragrance, which is basically from the house of Al-Bayt. This is Umo Intense, right? So this is an alt of Valentino Umo Intense. Now this particular fragrance has got orange, it's got vanilla, it's got leather, all of that element, but it's mostly also got iris element. So you get a little bit of that powdery iris kind of a vibe, along with a little bit of leather at the background. You have a little bit of powdery element, lightly sweeter compared to all of these fragrances, and makes for an excellent performer as well. So nice projection, you get about 2.5-3 feet, performs really long for more than 6 hours easy, and this is again very, very pocket friendly as well. So you can definitely consider a good evening wear, especially for date nights. Right now, if you can consider these fragrances, I would say like this is day wear. Okay, so let's keep this aside. And evening wear, Velvet Mood also is evening wear, Regent leather is also evening wear, leather is also evening wear. So this is also a evening wear, but this is mostly a date night fragrance. fragrance, and in my opinion you could wear this to office also, because this is not very strong animalic that way. This is a very nice beautiful scent profile that will be loved by many people, but you can consider this as more of a date night scent, so I would kind of keep this again in the evening scent. So right, so that is number 6, which is Albate's Umo Intense. All right, continuing with Albate, how can we not talk about one of the best leather fragrances out there, which is basically Ombre Namard. Now this Ombre Namard and another fragrance that I will talk to you about fits into both oud and leather category, because although this particular fragrance has got rose, it's got leather, it's got incense, but it's also got a good amount of oud in it. But then the scent profile on this particular fragrance is more towards leather than oud, right? So this is basically a nice dark masculine leather fragrance that's got a lot of rosy element to it, a little bit of incensey element to it, and a lot of leather kind of a suede. So you get a very good vibe to it. Beast mode projection on this particular one of the topmost selling fragrances from the house of Albate. I would easily recommend you to try this. So this is again very dark, very masculine, very nice fragrance. You can wear it for parties, you can wear it for some strong meetings that you want to be part of, where you are the boss man kind of a category. That kind of a fragrance this is. This will be a fragrance that might be not liked by many or might be loved by many, so I would definitely encourage you to get a decant of it and definitely try it before you buy this particular fragrance. In fact, most of the leather fragrances should be that way, but these are still safe recommendations. This is definitely a good party wear kind of a fragrance that you can get from the house of Albate. This is Ombre Namard. Number 8 is relatively a new fragrance that I got my hands on, which is basically from the house of Latafas. This is Qaid Shabab. Okay, now this particular fragrance is an alt of Guerlain's Queer Intense, and I am going to review this particular fragrance in detail at a later point of time, but this is primarily a fragrance that's got a good amount of animalic. It's got a little bit of sandalwood, it's got tobacco, it's got musk and all of that. In my opinion, this is a very straightforward, lovely scent in case you want to look at a proper so-called good scent that is pure, masculine, loud, volumes of, projection. Performance is fantastic. You can definitely consider this. This is one of the nicer scents, and I know a lot of people who like leather scents kind of, have this as a backup flanker as well. Although this is not probably sold as much as how the oud version of the cardamom, the gold one, sold, but then this is still a very good flanker, especially for folks who like straightforward leather fragrances, which is very strong, very animalic in terms of its nature. At the same time, it's got a lot of musky elements, and it's got tobacco as well. So kind of, you get a little bit of that light smoothness that is there. But on the whole, it's a fantastic fragrance to try. This is Latafa Shabab. Again, I would highly recommend you to try a decant on this one, because this can go both ways. Either you will hate it or you will like it. If you like it, you will absolutely have it. Otherwise, you will definitely not keep this as a fragrance. This is not blind buy worthy. Definitely highly recommend it for you to try the decant first. And for decants, you can definitely get in touch with Frag Zone or Anwar Parvez. He's got a lot of the fragrances that I'm recommending here should be with him. So I will put up his details in case you want to get decants from him. Number 9, I'm featuring a fragrance from an Indian house. This is from the house of French Essence. This is basically called Intense. Now this was one of my first initial fragrances that I got as a leather fragrance, and this is one of those nicer leather fragrances that you will get. This is basically the alt of Tom Ford's Tuscan leather. Okay, now either you could consider this, or you could consider Blanco's Old Money, which is also an excellent option at this particular price point. So this should be, I think a 60 ml cost me less than 500 rupees if I'm not wrong. So it's a very good fragrance that's got raspberry, it's got ambriness, it's got a little bit of woody tones, all of that. It's got a little bit of musky element as well. On the whole, it's a very, very nice scent for a price point. So what you get is more, tartness, you get a lot of ambriness, you get a little bit of leather note at the back, but then you have that tartness that gives you a very nice vibe to it. A little like if you think about a cherry or something like that, which has got a little bit of a black currant, will give you that tartness. At the same time, it's got a cutting across the sweet element type of a fragrance. That's the type of fragrance this is. It's a very nice fragrance, especially if you're going for long rides, riding, day wear, evening wear. You can wear this particular fragrance. Because of that, raspberry note, this becomes one of those fragrances that is excellent for day wear as well, in my opinion. You can definitely consider getting this. Either you can get, like I said, consider this, or you can get Blanco's Old Money. Both are very nice fragrances. I still feel Blanco's Old Money is a little more polished, little more well-rounded fragrance compared to this, but you can definitely try any other alts that you would want to as well, right? So this kind of does good to a good extent. All of these are Middle Eastern fragrances. This is the Indian house. This is one of the brands. Now let's go into the other set of fragrances that are primarily from the Indian alt houses. All right,